Picture this, a quiet evening, the soft hum of an old television filling the room, shadows stretching across the walls as black and white images dance in silence. And there she is, not merely an actress on a screen, but a presence, composed, thoughtful, luminous in a way that feels almost inherited. Before you even know her name, you feel the weight of history behind her gaze. Geraldine Chaplin did not simply step into cinema, she was born into it, into a world shaped by artistry, controversy, genius, and relentless creativity. The daughter of the legendary Charles Chaplin, she entered life surrounded by cameras, scripts, and the quiet understanding that storytelling was not just a profession, it was a legacy. But legacy can be both a gift and a shadow. In those early years, long before awards and international acclaim, there was simply a young girl observing the rhythms of performance, absorbing the cadence of dialogue, the discipline behind the laughter. Perhaps that is why, when she eventually faced the camera herself, there was something timeless in her stillness, something measured, something deeply aware. As we begin this journey, let memory guide you, for what unfolds is not merely a career, but the unfolding of heritage, heritage, heritage. Geraldine Chaplin was born on July 31st, 1944 in Santa Monica, California, a child arriving into a household already woven into the very fabric of cinema. Her father, Charles Chaplin, was not merely famous, he was a pioneer, a visionary whose silent performances reshaped the language of film itself. Her mother, Una O'Neill, carried her own distinguished heritage as the daughter of celebrated playwright Eugene O'Neill. Art was not something Geraldine discovered, it surrounded her. She grew up among 8 siblings: Michael, Josephine, Victoria, Eugene, Jane, Annette, Emily, and Christopher, a lively household where storytelling was as natural as conversation. The Chaplin name carried weight, expectation, and a quiet, unspoken pressure. Every room held echoes of scripts being written, ideas being debated, dreams taking shape. Yet childhood, even within legend, is still childhood. There were private family moments behind closed doors, away from the spotlight. But outside those doors stood a world that already knew her last name, already expected something extraordinary. And so, before she ever chose a path of her own, destiny seemed to whisper. Before the camera ever claimed her, Geraldine imagined a different life, one shaped not by dialogue, but by movement. She did not immediately surrender to the gravity of her surname. Instead, she turned towards ballet, a discipline demanding silence, precision, and complete devotion.
In 1961, she enrolled at the Royal Ballet School in London, committing herself fully to the art form. For 2 years, she trained with intensity, chasing the elusive perfection that ballet requires. Later, she danced professionally in Paris for a year, living the disciplined life of rehearsal halls and aching muscles. But ballet is unforgiving. It demands an early beginning, a lifelong surrender. And Geraldine came to a quiet realization. She had started too late to sustain it forever. The dream that once felt certain began to soften, then fade. Leaving ballet was not simply a career shift, it was a farewell. Like many who walk away from such devotion, she found it difficult even to attend performances afterward. The stage lights she once longed for became distant, almost painful reminders. Yet sometimes the closing of one curtain prepares the rising of another. The rhythm she learned in dance, the control, the discipline, the emotional restraint, would soon find a new expression. When Geraldine Chaplin finally turned toward film, it was not as an extension of her father's legend, but as a young woman determined to discover her own voice. The transition felt almost inevitable, yet deeply personal. Ballet had given her discipline, cinema would give her dimension. Her early performances revealed something striking: restraint. She did not chase spectacle. She allowed emotion to simmer beneath the surface, to unfold slowly, deliberately. Directors quickly recognized that her presence carried quiet authority. Her collaboration with Spanish filmmaker Carlos Saura marked a turning point, both professionally and personally. Their creative partnership spanned years, producing films that brought her international recognition and established her beyond the shadow of Hollywood. It was here that she expanded her artistic identity, embracing European cinema with fluency and confidence. She moved seamlessly between languages, fluent in Spanish and French, widening her reach far beyond the borders of her birthplace. This linguistic grace added layers to her performances, allowing her to inhabit characters from different cultures with authenticity. She was no longer simply the daughter of Charles Chaplin. She was Geraldine Chaplin. In 1992, life offered Geraldine Chaplin a role unlike any other, a role that blurred the line between history and performance. In the biographical film Chaplin, directed by Richard Attenborough, she portrayed her own grandmother, Hannah Chaplin. It was a moment layered with memory, heritage, and quiet emotion. To embody one's own bloodline on screen is not simply acting, it is reflection. It is stepping into echoes of family stories, inherited sorrow, inherited strength. And Geraldine approached it with the same restraint that had defined her career. There was no spectacle in her performance, only depth. In a brief but poignant scene set in September 1952, she even appeared as an 8-year-old girl, a subtle nod to the intertwining of her personal timeline with cinematic history. The film itself starred Robert Downey Jr. as her father, bringing another generation into the Chaplin narrative. It was more than a film. It was a circle closing. Through that portrayal, Geraldine did not merely honor her family's legacy, she participated in preserving it. Past and present converged in a single frame, a single breath, a single moment suspended in cinema. Beyond the lights and lenses, Geraldine Chaplin's life unfolded in more intimate chapters, chapters of love, companionship, and motherhood. Her long relationship with Spanish director Carlos Saura extended far beyond collaboration. Together, they welcomed a son, Shane Saura, in 1974, a new generation born from art and shared vision.
Later, she married Chilean cinematographer Patricio Castilla. Their union brought the birth of her daughter, Una Chaplin, in 1986, a name chosen in quiet tribute to her mother, Una. Once again, the rhythm of legacy continued, passing gently from one generation to the next. And still, her extended family remained woven into the broader tapestry of cinema. She was the half-sister of Sidney Chaplin and Charles Chaplin Jr., further threads in a lineage deeply tied to the entertainment world. Yet behind the famous surname were ordinary moments, childhood laughter, private conversations, the soft routines of family life. Fame may have framed her world, but within that frame lived a woman navigating love and loss like anyone else. A dynasty, yes, but also a daughter, a partner, a mother. As the years unfolded, Geraldine Chaplin's career became something expansive, stretching across continents, cultures, and cinematic traditions. She did not confine herself to one industry or one audience. Fluent in Spanish and French, she moved effortlessly between worlds, embracing European cinema as naturally as American film. There was something fitting about that. A woman born of British and American heritage, raised in the orbit of global fame, finding her artistic voice on international stages. Her performances carried a quiet intelligence, never loud, never overstated, but deeply felt. And always that name followed her. Chaplin, a name synonymous with silent comedy, with revolutionizing cinema, with history itself. Yet Geraldine shaped it into something new, something reflective, dramatic, contemplative. She did not imitate the past, she expanded it. Decade after decade, she remained present, adapting, evolving, choosing roles that challenged rather than comforted. Her journey was not defined by a single era, but by endurance, by resilience, by devotion to craft. So when we look back now, what do we see? Not merely the daughter of a legend, but a woman who carried legacy forward without being consumed by it, who transformed inheritance into individuality, who allowed her own artistry to speak. Cinema remembers her not as an echo, but as a voice, a steady voice. And now, as the screen begins to dim and the final frame lingers just a moment longer, we find ourselves returning to where we began, in that quiet room, bathed in the glow of cinema. Only now, the story feels fuller, richer, more human. Geraldine Chaplin's life was never simply about inheritance. Yes, she was born into one of the most iconic families in film history. Yes, her father reshaped the language of silent storytelling. But her journey was something more intimate, a path of self-discovery carved carefully within the boundaries of legacy. From ballet studios in London to film sets across Europe, from portraying strangers to portraying her own grandmother, from daughter to mother, from student to master of her craft, her life unfolded like a carefully paced narrative, quietly powerful, deeply layered. Perhaps what lingers most is not a single role, nor a single performance, but the feeling she leaves behind, a sense of continuity, of artistry passed down like a treasured heirloom. And so, as the curtain falls, we are left with reflection. Think of the first time you saw her on screen, the emotion she stirred, the subtlety she carried, the grace she embodied.
Some legacies shout. Hers whispers.